If you are a diehard fan of Masters of the Universe, you've got to be feeling like that skeleton at the bottom of the ocean meme. Every year there's some sort of announcement that they're finally rebooting the franchise, and like clockwork, the hype dies out because the film keeps getting scrapped for unknown reasons. He-Man is stuck in development hell, and it feels like the live-action reboot will never happen. And with recent reports that keep threatening us with the new film, you can't help but feel a bit pessimistic. Are they finally making a new He-Man live-action reboot? Hi, I'm your host Rob. And on this episode of Atomic Vision, we're going to journey to the planet Eternia and break down the complicated history of the new He-Man reboot and why it's taken so damn long to get a new movie made. And you can't talk about a new He-Man film without talking about the original disaster piece. In 1982, the He-Man toy line made its breakout debut and captured the imagination of kids everywhere. Then in 1983, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe animated series propelled the franchise to new heights never seen before.
I can't remember when I've had a more pleasant day.
By predating the Ninja Turtles for a few years, He-Man was the toy line for kids in the 80s. And with business booming, Hollywood couldn't wait to get their hands on a new franchise primed for a live-action adaptation. Although it took a few years to get there, Masters of the Universe would hit theaters in 1987 and disappoint audiences everywhere.
It's my fault they died.
It was a plane crash. Those things just happen.
Unless that plane crashed into Snake Mountain, I don't care.
Despite releasing the best decade in the franchise's history, the filmmakers and Mattel struggled to work together. They couldn't come up with a film that would satisfy fans and new audience members, and ultimately the film they crafted served neither.
Now, why are you so important to Skeletor? Let her go.
Don't be afraid, I won't hurt you. I don't want innocent people to die.
The original script kept the heroes on Eternia, but for budgetary reasons and a total lack of understanding, the filmmakers took He-Man out of Eternia and slapped him in the middle of California. The film had an identity crisis and the reception was unanimous. This wasn't He-Man, so where's the real movie? Because it had taken so long to get the film rolling, by the time it was released in 1987, audiences had moved on to new franchises like Ninja Turtles, so the toy line faded into obscurity. Ever since then, the franchise has tried time and time again to make itself relevant to kids outside of the 80s, to no avail. With a brand new series created in 1990, the franchise would go on hiatus for over a decade. As the toy franchises around He-Man started to kill it at the box office, somebody at Mattel woke up from their slumber and greenlit a new film in 2007. This felt like a dream come true, as it really felt like the franchise had been abandoned. Titled Grayskull, Masters of the Universe, the film was produced by Joel Silver at Warner Brothers and would feature groundbreaking visual effects technology that was used for Zack Snyder's 300.
This is Grayskull!
After decades, He-Man was finally going to get the respect that he truly deserved. Never mind. The film will be stuck in development hell for the next 2 years before Warner Brothers would officially give up and toss the project to some other studio. In 2009, Sony Pictures picked up the scraps and restarted production on a new iteration of He-Man. At the time, the prospect of Sony working on a He-Man film hits differently than it does now. As they had just wrapped Sam Raimi's Spidey trilogy, Sony was in desperate need of new nostalgic franchises to mine from. With director John M. Chu at the helm, a promise of a gritty reimagining akin to the maligned Conan reboot, and Dolph Lundgren rumored to return to the franchise, the film officially began filming in... Okay. At the time, John M. Chu wasn't the big-time director we know now. While he would go on to create beloved romantic comedies like Crazy Rich Asians and In the Heights, in 2009, he only had 2 step-up films under his belt. And yeah, neither exactly beloved. With Sony and Mattel butting heads, the film would struggle to meet its filming dates, and nothing was ever solidified into a real film.
You are a nobody. Nobody.
Years passed, and multiple writers were hired to rework the script, but ultimately, the film was yet again stuck in development hell. From what I could gather, Mattel wanted to keep the nostalgic campiness of the franchise intact, while Hollywood was in the middle of its gritty era. At this point, we were getting films like Clash of the Titans, Conan, Total Recall, and RoboCop. So had this film been released, it more than likely would have been a disaster. In 2014, much like Skeletor at the end of the original film, the reboot couldn't be killed despite Hollywood's best efforts. The Sony lot became a revolving door of talent as directors and writers would enter discussions only for them to fall through. At one point, Jeff Wadlow was in talks to make the film, which in my opinion would have been a giant mistake. On the other hand, Chris McKay was also in talks, and he directed the Lego Batman movie, so the chances of the film materializing felt more real than ever. More years would pass, and in 2016, with a brand new creative team led by McG, the film was finally in motion again. With actor Kellen Lutz chosen to star as the titular hero, the movie's production kicked into high gear. McG, despite his rocky filmography, seemed like the best choice at the time, because he understood what the fans wanted. Quote, "I think we want to honor the fan base, first and foremost. We also need to be cognizant of the incredible resonance of what Kevin Feige's doing with Marvel, and the balance of full-bodied entertainment, that it's both credible and emotional, action-packed, and the story of a hero's journey. It's the genesis of He-Man. It's the becoming of He-Man. We want it to be clicking on all cylinders in that regard. We are not stopping until we get it right." And just like that, the film was set for a 2019 release, and the world could not be prepared for the might that was the new He-Man movie. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. In 2018, it was announced that McG's version of the film was scrapped and a new director was being sought after. You just can't make this shit up. At one point in time, the writers behind Transformers: The Last Knight, Men in Black International, and the future Kraven the Hunter were set to write the new He-Man script. With Prague picked as a primary filming location and Noah Centineo chosen to play the titular hero, the film was finally going to begin shooting in 2019. But by the glory of Goddess, the film was scrapped. Honestly, I'm happy this didn't get made. After nearly a decade of trial and error, Sony Pictures threw in the towel, and the He-Man rights found their way to Netflix. It really felt like we were seeing the light at the end of the tunnel as the film finally felt real. With Masters of the Universe Revelation also releasing on Netflix, alongside another He-Man animated series, Netflix was officially the new home for He-Man. With Noah no longer cast as He-Man, the film, yet again, restarted production from zero, and hired screenwriter David Callahan to reimagine the world of Eternia. With the Nee brothers set as the directors and Kyle Allen set to play He-Man, the film would officially begin filming in 2023. Oh, for f***'s sake. In 2023, the film was completely scrapped and Netflix tossed away the film rights, only for Amazon MGM to pick up the scraps.
We're back.
That brings us to the present day. Look, I don't blame anyone at this point for being skeptical whenever He-Man news is announced, because damn. With Travis Knight set to direct the film, alongside freak-rate screenwriter Chris Butler fixing up the script, the movie is materializing in a way that feels tangible. Most recently, Nicholas Galitzine has been cast as He-Man, and honestly, this might be the best choice of them all. Nicholas has starred in multiple romantic comedies like Bottoms, Red, White, and Royal Blue, and most recently in The Idea of You, so I know he can handle being a charismatic lead. The issue is the film's direction, and I don't blame anyone for feeling skeptical. Unlike every variation of the script that started exclusively in Eternia, this newest version of the film will see 10-year-old Prince Adam crash landing on Earth, only to be transported back to Eternia decades later when he discovers his long-lost power sword. So rather than a fantastical reimagining of the franchise, this film will be rooted in the same tangibility of something like the recent Super Mario Bros. Movie. But if there's anyone I could trust with a project this risky, it's Travis Knight. He's the CEO of Laika Studios, which has created modern animated classics like Coraline and Kubo. And to top it all off, this isn't even the first time Travis has come in to fix someone else's mess. Travis Knight revived the Transformers franchise when he directed their only critically acclaimed film in 2018. Bumblebee grounded the world of the Autobots in a way audiences have been asking for years now, and it made the human characters the most relatable they have ever been in the franchise's history. So while I'm not too worried about the direction they are taking with He-Man, what scares me is the potential for this to all fall apart again. For all we know, this version of the film might not even get made, as time and time again is shown, getting a writer, director, or leading man doesn't guarantee an actual release. But what do you think? Did any of the previous He-Man films sound better than what we are getting now? Do you think this version of He-Man will ever be released? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this episode of Atomic Vision, leave a like, subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time.
But do you have the remote? I was just joking. I thought it'd be, Anyway, you're busy.